Word up, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Word up. Welcome to Late Night Live number 45, also known as the Star Wars stream. Star Wars stream? It's not a very, clever or cool name, but whatever. Happy Star Wars Day to all of you. May the 4th be with you. I know many of you are watching this in other countries, and it might already be the Revenge of the 5th, but it is the 4th for me, so we're still in Star Wars time. So here we go. What's going on, Odra Swinny? How's it going? I do believe we should be started here. Toronto! Alright, I just finished telling a friend of mine on Facebook Messenger that a lot of people I know are on the East Coast, like New York and Toronto and whatnot, so the time zone isn't quite as favorable for a lot of people to watch these late night lives. But thanks for hanging out, Judy. Tea. What's going on, Marilyn? Alright, so today, Star Wars Day, we are gonna write Star Wars. Originally I was gonna do some Star Wars quotes, and then a friend of mine suggested doing the crawls, the Star Wars crawls that scroll at the very beginning of the movies. And I thought that was a brilliant idea, and it kind of got me thinking about, I want to do an actual Star Wars crawl piece. Now, I'm not going to be doing that piece specifically tonight, but tonight is sort of going to be like the prep piece. I'm going to do a miniature version of the bigger piece, just to see if it looks good. Star Wars and Ornamental Penmanship might not be a great cohesive sort of mix, so we'll see. I'm going to space this thing out and everything. It's not just going to be free writing. I'm going to pencil some stuff to try to get spacing a little bit more refined than I normally do on these lives. But this one, we're going to start right here with the Episode 4, A New Hope. I know I maybe should start at Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, but I don't want to. I'm going to start with the old school, starting with A New Hope. Woo! What up, James? What up, Jesse? Yeah. What up, Niap? This is awesome. I haven't listened to this music in a while either. I forgot how much I like this playlist I have on here. I tried to find some cool Star Wars music, but it's really hard to find Star Wars royalty-free copyright music or music that's like Star Wars music but isn't. I found a couple songs and they're okay, but they're not enough for an actual playlist. And I didn't want to risk running into copyright strike issues and things like that, so I'm not. Also, before we get started, I don't know if you guys can see this on the camera from behind me. This is an unfinished piece, but just in the name of Star Wars, we also have, let's go in front of their camera. Yeah, we have the R2D cone. So tonight we have the R2D cone, we got the cone stormtrooper, the cone trooper, and I guess that's all the Star Wars paraphernalia that I own. Or really these two things, I think. I don't own any Star Wars Lego or anything like that. But I gotta finish that piece one day. That's gonna be a shirt as well, and this will be I gotta redo this one. I made it myself. I'm gonna do I was supposed to, you guys know I have a bunch of shirts that I'm supposed to do, but I'm not very good at getting that stuff done. Oh, camera's bright when it's zoomed out. Alright, be honest, I'm a little nervous to write today. I regrettably, I don't know, I haven't done a lot of writing this week. I have written since last Sunday, since I hung out with you guys, but I haven't done a ton of writing this week. I kind of fell down the rabbit hole of origami in the past week, and that's basically all I've been doing. Is folding origami and was reading up techniques on taking, like this is just tissue paper, but you take, what up James? Nice to know you're here. If I have any comments that I feel like I want James's comment on, I know I can put those out there, and I know that James is here lurking. But this is just like regular, like super cheap tissue paper, but you take 2 pieces of it and you glue it together with methyl cellulose, and then you basically glue it to a table. So I used my leather cutting table and glued all these giant sheets of tissue paper together to make thicker, like still thin, but more crinkly and way better paper for taking folds and stuff. So then I refolded the quill from last week's session. You can see how much more this now just is defined in here and holds its shape, and how nice and smooth the feathery bits can be, and it can be shaped. It's super thin. So yeah, I like deep dive fell into that world. I was just gluing paper basically non-stop for like 3 days. And then I was gluing tissue paper backing some writing paper the same paper that I folded the quill with last week. I backed that with some orange tissue paper, but the orange tissue paper bleeds a lot. So unfortunately it kind of turned the parts that were supposed to be like creamy white into this like creamsicle orange color. But I folded this little guy, and it took a long time, stayed up really late. But then I wasn't like super happy with it. I mean, the fold I think turned out awesome, but I wanted the colors to be more dramatic. Apparently, orange has never been a favorite color of mine, but I guess orange and white are just a combination that has become relevant in my world. So I experimented some more with paper, and so instead of backing a piece of writing paper, this isn't writing paper, I took this is watercolor paper, Fabriano 90 pound. I wanted to use the 140, but I feel like folding with 140 would be dope, but I would need a really big piece, and I just had a regular pad of Fabriano here. So I took watercolor paper and I painted it, ignore that part, I painted it with orange acrylic paint. Luckily I have a ton of that because of my old shoe painting days. So I watered down some orange acrylic paint and painted a couple quick thin coats on the one side to test that it wouldn't soak through to the other side. And then when that was done, I could wet fold the fox again. And with wet folding, you dampen the paper. So as you're folding, the paper's sort of wet the whole time so it can accommodate. And I think I hit like the maximum thickness of paper that I would be able to use to fold the next version of the fox, which I won't say I couldn't be happier with, because I think it turned out like really dope, and I'm really happy with it. But there are certain parts, like in the legs, that got overworked a little bit, just because of the thickness. Like in here, you can see how thick, like this is many layers of paper squished in there, and my fingers were sore getting that all done. But it turned out so good, and because the paper's thicker, it has more like substance, and I could shape it. And the only other downside to shaping it because it was painted, the orange is acrylic. When I tried to wet fold it again, the acrylic obviously stops a lot of the moisture from getting into the paper. So it was, once the model was finished, it was really hard to like wetten to dampen the these parts here to wet fold them. But yeah, I'm super stoked on how this little guy turned out. This is now the third one of these foxes that I've ever folded. The first one went to my friend Kahlo in Hong Kong, and it got eaten by her dog. And now I folded these two. And next time I go to Hong Kong, once I'm allowed to travel again, who knows? Maybe one of these will come with me there to find its way to Kahlo's studio. Or I'll fold another one. I want to experiment with a lot more papers and stuff like that. I feel, actually, James, just because you mention bugs with 6 legs, I'll be right back. I totally forgot about this. So, many of you, nobody probably knows. What's going on, Mom? I'm not obsessed, but I really like ants, and I have my entire life since I was a little kid. I really, really like ants. And there's an ant model that I've tried to fold many times over the years, and the paper always gets destroyed, it never works, and it's utter fail. The failing, I will say, is not usually because of me, I don't think, because I don't think it's a super, super complex model, but the paper I had, because I wasn't making fancy papers before, never seemed to work really good. I know most people hate ants. I'm the minority. I mean, I don't like them when they're in my kitchen. Like when I was in LA, there would be little ants that would get around the homes and whatnot. But I've always liked ants. But I folded this little guy, and it's not perfect, but it turned out okay. This is an ant model by Robert Lang, I believe is the guy who designed this one. But because you mentioned the 6 legs, and there's a little 6-legged ant, and this was out of a piece of paper a little bigger than this, I guess, maybe like 8 inches by 8 inches, something like that. I know it's gonna be super like mixed reviews because some people, obviously a lot of people hate bugs, but folding the bugs, did my paper have 8 corners? No, it was a regular square. It was exactly like this one, just a little. I actually don't remember the size of it when I started. I should have paid attention to that. But I feel like it was about 8 inches. Yes, Jesse, I agree. Not as cool as a praying mantis, but doing the bugs, I want to get into, and this is one thing I've wanted to do for a long time. I wanted to do some of the more detailed bug models that are out there, and so I figured I would work my way up. I did like the beetles and stuff that I had on here last week, and then I did this ant, which is my first, I think, 6-legged one, or first like little more detailed, and then we'll go farther. I think the next one I'm gonna do, I'll probably do a scorpion. I'm gonna work my way up to the praying mantis. There's an awful lot of legs and arms and stuff going on with the praying mantis, and there are more relaxing, like more chill designs out there, but not an extremist is the wrong word, but I don't want to do one of the easy ones. Easy origami is easy. I wanna dive in. The next thing I'm gonna fold, though, I actually just found it before the stream. There is Satoshi Kimura, I believe his name is, has a crazy detailed dragon that he had. There's 3 different versions of it. I don't even want to get close to version 2 or 3, but version 1 is a lot simpler, and it's still gonna start with a pretty big piece of paper. But I'm gonna fold that. I wanted to fold like a really, really dope dragon for a long time. I mean, I made this little dude, who I think is pretty dope, but he's not very detailed. This little guy, my little crane dragon. But it's like a super detailed, big one that will be a lot of fun. So we'll see how all that goes. But yeah, you could tell I haven't even started my Star Wars stuff. I've just been obsessed with origami, and when I wasn't folding stuff or gluing paper, I was on the internet researching cool models and crease patterns and stuff like that. So, not doing what I should be doing. There's a lot of things I should be doing right now. And there's that, well, because you mentioned how to train your dragon, there is a relatively simple dragon design on a guy does on YouTube. It's similar to that little one, but it has a little bit more of a bigger head, and it looks a little bit more like Toothless. So I'll do that one eventually. That'll be an easy one that I'll do one of these days, though. But I guess that's enough origami talk. And I'm gonna now get into writing talk. Like I said, a little nervous. Let's see how this goes. Oh, what's going on, Nan? Sorry, I was going off on a little bit of a chat there. I didn't see if other people popped in here. Into the chat. Alright. So, New Hope. Like I said, some of you might not have been here when I mentioned it. We're going to write the opening crawl for Star Wars A New Hope today. But instead of just winging it, like I normally do when I do the quotes and poems and things like that, I'm going to actually space this out. I'm going to give it a little more thought than I normally do. Because I'm going to call this planning for a future larger piece. I feel like this is 2 pieces of paper. No, it isn't. I've been holding origami paper for so long that this regular 1 sheet of paper feels too thick. But this is one of my standard, it's very small, 3/16" guide sheets. My capitals are going to be less than 2 of these lines, so it's going to be really small, because I want to fit the whole thing into a regular sheet of paper. And I don't want it to span the entire thing. I want it to keep the formatting of the way it plays in the movie theater. I want it to keep the same spacing. And if you know the Star Wars movies, when it goes, the letters, it's not interlinear spacing, but the spacing between words changes like a newspaper so that the columns stay perfectly end to end. So that may not look good with ornamental penmanship, but I want to test it. What's going on, Brylin? That's what I'm going to be testing today, because I'm going to see if I can have two guidelines on the edges, and then I'm going to try to fill that space with every line. But the extra space will be in the between the words and not between the letters. So that'll be a little bit of a challenge for me. Oh, this little clip is dead. I was using this clip to hold an origami model the other day, and apparently I stretched it out. Now it's too stretched out to hold paper. Okay, that is now an origami only clip. Oops. Interstitial? Interstitial. That's a crazy word. Alright. Now I don't know exactly how long each one of these lines is going to have to be, so this is going to take, we're basically just going to figure this out as we go. This is going to be sort of an inside look, we don't need to be that much, an inside look at how I put together a piece. Normally, this sketch would be done very, very rough, but I'm essentially going to make I'm going to end up inking it, but I'm just going to make an inked, miniature, slightly more casual version of the final piece that I want to do if this one looks good. And the final piece, I want to be narrow, and it'll be like quite long. Not that narrow, but it'll be a longer piece. So long as this works good today, we'll see. Clip the paper. Alright. Now you'll see on this guide sheet I did a little bit of planning ahead. I gave myself dots. So that's each one of those dots is basically one of my baselines that I'm going to use for the A New Hope. I just did that so I knew the line spacing I would have to use to fit the 19 lines that it takes to write this. So 19 lines of text on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper is what we're working with today. What up, Momhead? How's it going? So starting off, what I'm going to do, I've made a couple decisions. In here we have Death Star is all capitalized. I'm not gonna do those all in capitals. I'm just gonna capitalize the D and the S. I would like them to be all capitals, but Spencerian and Ornamental Penmanship just doesn't really look good all capitals. It can, but that's when there's room for things to be designed and stuff like that. Like you can get superscription and things. But amongst all of this text, it's gonna pull way too much focus, and the biggest thing, because we want everything to be fitting 2 columns, it's gonna take up way too much space. 10 days of national holidays. Whoop whoop! Holiday! Celebrate! You've never watched Star Wars, man? Come on! I mean, I'm not a super Star Wars fanboy. I really like Star Wars. And I think, was it last year? I did a full marathon and I watched, not in the order of making, but in the order of the story, everything, including the Ewok movies and the Clone Wars. I watched everything all the way through. I enjoy Star Wars, but I don't want to. Other people don't want to watch Star Wars. I don't really care. I'm not that big of a fanboy. Okay, so I'm going to take my longest line here, which is going to be either Ultimate Weapon, the Death, sounds harsh, or Spies Manage to Steal Secret. We're going to write those lines first, and that'll give us our maximum width. Because I could start here with here, but then if that's going to be my line, I would have trouble squishing a lot of these other ones potentially into there. So I'm going to write what I think are going to be the potential longest ones. Obviously, Spencerian isn't going to be spaced out exactly like these. I don't even know what font that is, but it's not going to be spaced out exactly like that. But I can sort of gauge which is probably going to be about the longest, which is Spies Manage to Steal Secret, which is line number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Line number 7. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That one right there. And we're gonna pencil this today. I'm gonna pencil it nice and chill. Trying to think of what size. X height would probably go like 2 millimeters today. Spies managed. Not worried too much about accuracy. This is just to get the idea of the spacing. Alright, there's Spies Manage to Steal Secret. Now just for good measure, I want to write this one with the capital D, because that D is going to take up a fair bit of space as well. So that's line number 9. Oh, I forgot how much I like DJ Quad. With enough power too. Wait, what did I do? That's not the right line. I'm not even doing the right thing. Wake up, Mike! You definitely should watch the Ewok movies, Jesse. I mean, they're not amazing. They don't really fit into the story all that well. One of them does more than the other. Was it Caravan of Courage is kind of... I feel like that's the one's kind of living in its own little world a little bit. Ultimate Weapon, the Death. That's what I'm supposed to be writing. This is gonna be tiny. Awesome, that ended in right the exact spot that I needed. Perfect. So we're gonna call that our opposite bounding line. Oh no. I don't want to measure. This is how I ghetto measure things when I don't feel like marking the top and the bottom. I just get another ruler and I do this. Maybe that's not ghetto, I don't know, maybe it is. We want to go to right there. Now the hard part is going to be stretching out some of the shorter lines so that they fit inside, or so they take up all of this space. But may or may not work, we'll see. Okay, I definitely could have now this is a test piece, but I still want it to look good, so I'm now gonna measure. This is probably not the best, most smart way to do all this, but this is how I do things when I'm not planned ahead. Go 5 1/8 inches. We're gonna put that right in the middle. This time I will measure. We may as well put those may as well put it in the middle of the paper. Let's go. Finding the middle of the paper. There we go. What are they? 5 1/8? Yeah. 1, 2 1/2 1/2. 1, 2 1/2 1/2. Oh yeah. I also could have, I guess, just measured over from the line we already created. But there, now it'll be centered. Oh, sorry. I can't see what I'm doing. What up, Rose? So we'll have it at least centered on our piece of paper here. Which will be nice. Uh-oh, did I do that right? Yeah. Awesome. There are my 2 lines. I can erase all of these ones now. And we can get to writing. Or get to, I'm gonna pencil all them in nice and light. Because spacing these, I could probably do it relatively intuitively, but this is a style of spacing that I am not very used to. It's a lot easier to, I think anyways, to space, to center things than it is to actually extend the interstitial, is that what we found out? Spacing, the spacing between words, like you would in a newspaper or something. We'll see it now actually. Could also, where's the middle? There's the middle. One, 2 1/2, 1. There we go. May as well mark the middle of this whole shindig. For spacing our title. One cool thing about doing it this way as well, when I do the larger piece, and it won't be a ton larger, but just a little bit larger, I can essentially scan this piece and just expand it in Photoshop, and I'll be able to see exactly the size of everything that I need. I can measure all my margins and all that in Photoshop, or expand it to exactly what I want and not what I decide to measure. I can expand it visually to exactly what I want, which will be good. All right, there we go. So let's start. Should use a blotter so my hand is not on the paper too much. We're gonna start. This is episode IV. Go, and then we have A New Hope. Make this lettering a little bit bigger. These are some of the things we expect with summer. Not sure what style of pen I want to use for it, but we'll go with that one since it's the one I've been using a lot lately. A new. There we go. Now when I write this, oh, you guys can't even see what I'm doing because I'm penciling so dark. Darken that a little bit and zoom in now that we're working on the actual penciling work. Penciling super light. When I ink this, it's not going to be a slow ink, so I'm not going to be hitting these lines exactly like this at all. I'm going to do this with movement writing, but I'm just sort of penciling it to give myself an idea. When I pencil things like signatures or more intense pieces, I will usually ink those slower so that I can get accurate and precise and whatnot. This one is sort of one of the rare times where you'll see me ink a piece that is meant for movement writing. And it's just, the big thing is when I start to write it, I pay very little attention to the pencil line. The pencil line was just there for me to get a general idea of the spacing. Similar to, if anybody saw, years ago when I painted a mural at Debbie Reynolds' studio, that wasn't movement writing, but I did pencil, just very generic, not worrying about spacing too much. And then I didn't bother fixing the pencil. All I did was when I started inking it, I looked at the pencil line and went, okay, my pencil line left like half a foot on the end of this line, so I have to write and space this out a little bit more than I normally would, or than the pencil is. And then there are other pencil lines were too long, and I would just write them shorter. So it's just a general guide. But I definitely did not perfect the pencil line, because that just takes too much time. Okay, it is a period of civil war. How's the volume today? Is that just loud in my ears, or is it loud for you guys too? Star Wars pylon. Oh, and back there. That's the R2D cone and the cone trooper. Traffic cones everywhere. Aplenty. Alright. Oh, see, that's gonna be interesting spacing this one, because I end up naturally. This might take a bit. I naturally, when I need to fill space, I space out my words a little bit more, because that's what you would normally do, or that's what you can normally do in ornamental penmanship. What up, Maxie? Happy May the 4th to you. But with this one, I have to make a point of changing the word spacing is a whole new ball game. So this one I have to change the word or space it out just a little bit more than I normally would.
Of the nation with a couple of high pressure cells behind it.
There, did it. Rebel spaceships striking. Can you guys see that? Is that light enough? Not in the middle, sorry. There we go. And if you guys have questions about ornamental penmanship, questions about anything, questions about Star Wars, questions about origami, go ahead and ask. I'll still be obviously keeping an eye on chat. We're not movement writing for this little bit, but that doesn't mean we can't talk about anything else. Rebel spaceships striking. Alright, this one needs to take up even more space. Oh, I might have to get rid of that exit stroke on that eye. This is very tiny. Rebel spaceships. Have I run out of lead? Is that what's happening here? Come out. Gotcha. Click, click, click. Ooh, that is a dangerous question, Rose. Do I recommend watching Star Wars in the order of release? Star Wars purists, I think, like Star Wars fans, will say that you should watch in order of the making. So you start with Episode 4, A New Hope, and then you go Episode 5, Episode 6, Episode 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, with the other movies in between. Personally, like that's the best like historical way to watch it. But when I did my marathon, I like to watch things sort of chronologically. So I started watching from like the beginning, which meant like Solo came first, or came before a lot of the other ones. So I watched them in order of the story, not in the order they're making. There's a lot of, it's sort of split opinions on that. I like watching them in that order, in the order that that the story goes, not in the order they were made. If you are a Star Wars fan and you believe the opposite, that's not bad. That's also a good thing. I think most people like to disregard like episode 1, 2, and 3, so they don't consider those in the beginning. They're kind of like the new Indiana Jones movies. They just don't count to Indiana Jones fans. But I feel like that's how I like watching them. From a hidden base, have 1. So this one doesn't really require any extra spacing. This one should fit perfect. Oh, just. I might have to condense that one a little bit. Their first victory against. Uh-oh. Nope. Gotta space it out a little bit more. There we go. Maxie is curious about the backstory behind the bad pylon. Ooh. There's a lot of people that are curious about the backstory behind the bad pylon. Maybe I will make that. Maybe I'll make a video telling that story one day. It's not a really crazy story. It kind of came out of nowhere, but it has grown to. It has grown to mean more than it did in the beginning. It was a really random thing in the beginning, and then it has grown into a very weird obsession of mine now. But the bad pylon does have a story. There is a reason for its existence. Jabba's not. Jabba is a character. He's not really a monster. He's like you could picture him as like a mobster. Not a monster, a mobster. He's a gangster. A little bit. The Evil Galactic Empire. Okay, this one I have to space out a little bit. I wasn't super into Star Wars as a kid. I didn't get into it till I was older. Can I talk about Jabba? Jabba is a giant slug, essentially. He's the Hutts are like a mob boss family, and I don't remember a lot of the story of why they ended up going to him originally. Like Han Solo owed him money, so they basically captured him. I really don't know the whole story. I'm a bad Star Wars fan right there. Jabba is kind of gross, so I never paid a lot of attention to his character, I guess. Or I just never remembered any of it. Oh, that's not going to be enough space. I spaced it out too much. I forgot. Capital letters take up more space in Spencerian than in font text. This singer sounds like a weird version of like Michael Jackson. Well, he was Leia was essentially like his slave at one point. Okay, paragraph number 2. This would look so cool in a long... Yep, this is going to be a long piece. Probably prints. If I do a long piece, I'll probably do Ornamental Penmanship Star Wars prints of it. Because I think it would look really cool. During the battle, Rebel. Ooh, and this one is going to have to be spaced out as well. A little bit. During the... Darn it. During the battle, comma, Rebel spies managed to steal secret. Ooh, that's a good question. Yamabuki, nice. Marilyn, that's great. So Rose, the difference between Ornamental Penmanship and Spencerian. So different people, I think, sort of have different breakdowns of the two of them. They are considered, I would say nowadays, Ornamental Penmanship and Spencerian are two different things. The majority of people consider them two different things. But technically, Spencerian is a style of Ornamental Penmanship. It's sort of like the first style. I mean, technically, a lot of the styles are ornamental. Any style of writing that has ornamental bits added to it is a style of Ornamental Penmanship. But what we've come to know as Ornamental Penmanship is when you take Spencerian script, like traditional Spencerian script, like what you're learning in class right now, traditional Spencerian, once it goes and breaks the rules and becomes a little bit more ornamental, so like when the Zenarians, like CP Zaner and Blozer and all those guys sort of did with traditional Spencerian, where they took it, that has been known as Ornamental Penmanship. So we use Ornamental Penmanship as a universal term for all of the styles that are based in traditional Spencerian. So they're based on like Spencerian forms. So because in Ornamental Penmanship, most of the ornamental penmen, like Madaraz, Lupfer, Zaner, Blozer, all their writing is slightly different. They all had slightly different styles of ornamental penmanship. But what they were writing weren't new scripts. Just like ornamental penmanship is not a new script from Spencerian. Spencerian is just a style of ornamental penmanship. But most of the popular styles of ornamental penmanship came from Spencerian script. Spencerian script sort of, it's one of the ones that sort of started them all. And then from there, when other creative bits were added and changed and more flourished and stuff like that, specifically when like business penmanship became more prevalent with Palmer method and that type of stuff, Spencerian started to let loose a little bit into just more ornamental. It broke the rules of traditional Spencerian, or broke the bounds of traditional Spencerian. So we take all of that style of writing and we call it ornamental penmanship. Now, that doesn't, like Spencerian, it doesn't mean Spencerian isn't ornamental penmanship. Spencerian is. It is a style of ornamental penmanship, but when you hear people like myself and other penmen talking, when they refer to ornamental penmanship, they're usually referring to all that other family of styles that are the more flourished and expressive styles of traditional Spencerian. So I use them, they're all usually together. When I talk about Spencerian, I also talk about ornamental penmanship because to me, Spencerian is ornamental penmanship. But when you were just talking about ornamental penmanship without using the term Spencerian, then you don't have to apply the rules of traditional Spencerian, because traditional Spencerian had structure and rules. The styles of ornamental penmanship that we're used to, or that we see, don't have a lot of the same rules as Spencerian. Like I said, they're Spencerian with the bounds cut off a little bit. So, yeah. I hope that made sense and wasn't too rambly. Center this a little bit better. There we go. Okay. During the battle, Rebel spies managed to steal secret. Secret plans to the empires. This one will need some spacing out. But there are penmen in the chat right now, if he's still here, like James, for example, who could give his opinion on ornamental penmanship versus Spencerian if it differs from mine. I don't think it does, but it might. And if he's still here, there's the call out. He can discuss that even further or dig more into it. Geez, this one has to be like super spaced out, because empires is gonna fit right here. Nope, even farther than that. This is the part where this might not look super great. With it spaced out quite this much. That's the most spaced out line so far. But that'll look okay, I think. I maybe should have left more space between the two paragraphs instead of just one line. But it's too late to fix that now. If it looks boring, it's probably Spencerian/business penmanship. That's potentially, yeah. That's not a wrong statement. Spencerian is what we know as ornamental penmanship with the rules, with the shackles put back on. It is not super heavily shaded, and it follows strict rules. It is essentially business penmanship with a little bit of shades and slightly more artistic capitals, but not a lot. Traditional Spencerian doesn't go crazy flourished. It can, but then it's called ornamental penmanship. Yeah, that's exactly right. Business penmanship is, if you took ornamental penmanship, like what I mostly do, and you put the rules of Spencerian on it, it gets much simpler, lighter shaded, and the forms become more simplified. Now, if you take those shackles and put them behind my back, then I don't shade at all, and my forms get even more simplified. Then I get business penmanship. And some could say that, James, if it's boring, it's probably Spencerian or ornamental penmanship. And it is. I won't say it's boring. It's not as exciting as ornamental penmanship, which is why I mostly do flourish ornamental penmanship, because I think it's the most fun. For me personally, anyways. Oh, can I afford... Wait, how many extra lines would I need to be able to do that? I need one. Just 2 more lines. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to drop down. Shoot. Yep. I'm going to erase 3 of these lines, and I'm going to give my paragraph 1 extra space. That was poor planning. I thought 1 space would be a good use of saving space, since I want this whole thing to fit on a sheet of paper, but I think it still will if I move it down 1. Or technically it'll be 2 more, because there's 2 paragraph breaks. Alright. Which means my little dots that I gave myself no longer mean anything. No, I didn't give myself a... Nope. Yeah. On these ones with capitals, I'm going to start writing the capitalized word at the end first, so that stops happening, because that's annoying. Wedding calligraphers are probably watching me and being like, ugh, amateur, because they're much more used to spacing stuff like this out potentially on the fly than I am. I can usually space things out pretty good. It's just when I want it to be like really precise, it becomes a little more of a challenge. Rebel spies managed to steal secret. Awesome. That's wicked. Assembling a Millennium Falcon plastic model. That's great. Oh, I think it was Rose. Last week, was it last week or the week before that? You told me to do Lego. So I checked my tracking number, and the final pieces for my Lego build that I'm going to be doing have arrived in Canada. I don't know how long it'll take them to get from. I'm assuming they're still on the East Coast. They came from Germany, I think, but they've arrived in Canada, so they're not far away. Once they get here, I can do that Lego build. I don't know if I'll do that Lego build live or do a time-lapse video. I'm not sure. Would you guys be in? Maybe I'll do a poll on Instagram. So I could do that as a late night live, or I could do that as an extra other night of the week or other time video as well, to keep the late night lives being writing specific. Plans to the Empires. Alright, this is the super spaced out one. Let's write Empires first. Let's do this smart. Sure. Plans to the Empire's ultimate weapon, the Death. Lego Lab, awesome. Yeah, it's an advanced Lego build apparently, or expert, I think is what the box says. But I mean, it's following instructions. Following instructions is easy. You just gotta pay attention. It's like origami. It's easy if you pay attention. That's not true. With origami, you have to learn how to read a bunch of stuff. But with Lego, if you pay attention, it is easy, because you just gotta do exactly what it says. So long as you have all the pieces, then you're good. Making things like this is a little more challenging. The building is easy, but you have to design it first, because that's not obviously a pre-made model. So designing that was a little more challenging, but whoops. Squish that one a little bit more. There we go. The Death Star. An armored space. Okay, this one's gonna have to be spaced out as well. This playlist is very short. I'm just now realizing I've heard these same songs so many times. I'm gonna change up the music if that's okay with everybody. Yep, this'll work. Tell you about the grapefruit. So the grapefruit is to tattoo. My intention when I got the grapefruit and all the tools. What's going on, Devin? Devin, who just posted in chat, I believe, if that's the Devin, I think it is probably my most Star Warsy friend that I have. If I took all my friends and I thought of the person who knows the most about Star Wars, it's probably Devin, I would assume. If I had questions about Star Wars, it would go to Devin. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was the grapefruits. So my plan was, I got those and all my tools and stuff, and I was gonna tattoo this week. I was gonna tattoo the grapefruits. Grapefruit, it's obviously is not like human skin, but tattooing fruit is, you can practice on fruit. It's not a great practice tool, but when I learned how to tattoo in Germany, grapefruits and oranges are what I used to practice on. I also have some fake skin to practice on, but I'm going to use the grapefruits just to learn a little bit more about speed and stuff like that, because you can change the needle speed, so I can get a little bit more used to the speed that I want to move, and then figure out what my movement speed correlates to how fast I want my machine to run. So like right here on my desk right now, there's my tattoo machine. I have it all wrapped in plastic like you would at a tattoo parlor. Obviously, I'm not tattooing people, but I'm following the proper tattoo setup procedures, covering everything in plastic and sealed needles and stuff like that, just so if and when the day comes that I do start tattooing people, I'm used to following those rules, because it'll become sort of ingrained. But I am just tattooing fruit, just to practice my hand and just another style of art. But I haven't tattooed a single piece of fruit. Those grapefruits are in my kitchen right now, still untattooed, because the same day that I got the grapefruits and the tattoo guns and everything, I fell deeper into the hole of origami. So the origami kind of trumped the tattoo machine. So it'll happen. I just got distracted by origami for a little bit there. Space. Station with enough power to. Uh-oh. This is a long line. With enough power to destroy an entire planet. Oh, that's not gonna work. I don't know if I'll post a lot of I'm not gonna tattoo on a live stream or anything like that. Definitely not at this stage in the game. I'll post probably photos of the oranges if I tattoo something Penmanship-y. But for the first while, it's just gonna be a lot of like straight lines and stuff like that. Is it ½ inch, James? It is. It might be. It might. It's less than ½ inch. It is 3/8 is the capital height. Which, yeah, it's very, very small. Doing it with writing is going to be interesting. Very, very tiny. But it was the only way that I could fit the whole thing on a sheet of paper. The final piece, when I eventually do it, will be much longer, but I didn't really feel like doing a whole elaborate piece tonight on a super large piece of paper, and I don't even think I have... Oh, I might have some Bristol board or some arches around here somewhere that's big enough, but I don't have a lot of larger paper. So this is just a miniature practice version, which, yeah, the capitals are quite tiny. Too tiny, but whatever. Destroy an entire planet. Period. I've never done Spencerian spacing that has 2 walls before. It's kind of cool. Dude, well, it's honestly, some of Huang's pieces are what inspired me to want to start doing like longer stuff, longer, bigger things. Because I do want to start doing larger things. So this is sort of the beginning of that. I just didn't have the energy to actually start on a big thing on a live stream. Persuaded by the empires. Okay. Well, pursued. Whoops. By the empires. But pieces in like Ancho pieces, like Old English, Black Letter, Trajans, Romans, foundational, they always are able to use that like super nice clean column writing like you see in the old manuscripts, and pieces look so cool that way. But I've never done that with Spencerian before. And I think, I mean, just looking at this in pencil already, it looks cool. The extra spaces between the letters might bug me a little more when it's inked. I'm not sure, but as of right now, I think it looks super cool. Sinister Agents. Princess. I hate that this P has to go right underneath this E. Ooh, and capitals don't play well together. I'll figure that out later. Give it a little more space than that. Now I'm starting to get picky. Don't get picky. When you're penciling, no point. Princess needs to have a P now. There we go. Okay, there, the E and the P sort of work. Sinister Agents. Princess. Cool. Ghetto Huncho live. Probably not gonna happen. I don't want to enrage. The calligraphy community will hate me if I do Ghetto Huncho live. If I do Huncho at all, it's not proper. I don't want to invoke the wrath of calligraphy folk. Princess Leia. Races home aboard her. Yay, I like when lines fit. Starship. Custodian of the... Okay, this one should fit also perfect. Custodian of the... Probably not gonna happen. Maybe one day, but I doubt it. Stolen plans that can save. That can save her people and restore. Ooh, that one's gonna need to be spaced out quite a bit. Freedom to the galaxy. Is the end of the... I don't remember if the ellipsis, the 3 dots at the end, span all the way to the end or not. Give me 2 seconds here. Star Wars crawl format. That's not how you spell crawl. There we go. Images. Come on, just give me a picture of the crawl so I can see. Come on. Show me what I want, Google Images. Yep, it does. Okay. Freedom. And then it ends with galaxy and 3 dots. Galaxy, freedom to the... There we go. Whoa, that went right to the bottom. That just fit. Do I have a favorite Star Wars character? I mean, Yoda? It's kind of a cop-out answer, though, because I feel like Yoda is so many people's favorites. Is Yoda my favorite, though? I'm trying to think. I actually got, grumpy's the wrong word, but I had a moment earlier today when I was posting Instagram stories and I was just searching through Star Wars GIFs. And when you search Yoda, even on Google now, if you search Yoda or in GIFs, any search you search Yoda, 99% of what comes out is Grogu, is Baby Yoda, which Grogu's cool, Baby Yoda's cool. Obviously, I'm not trying to take shine away from Baby Yoda, but when I want stuff on Yoda, I don't want to see all the Baby Yoda. It's kind of unfortunate that he got known as Baby Yoda before his name came out, because now you can't search Yoda without just finding just oversaturated posts and stuff about Baby Yoda, when in this particular instance, I don't care about Baby Yoda. I wanted to find a Yoda GIF, but all I could find was Baby Yoda GIFs, and I didn't want to post a Baby Yoda GIF because I wasn't doing The Mandalorian. Doesn't really matter, but that was my little mini rant and moment that I had before we went live today. Oh, just when there was a maybe that came before that one day. Don't forget that. I strategically use maybe a lot. Can get you out of a bind. Okay, so I guess now I ink this, right? That's what we do now. Yeah. I'm gonna warm up. If I'm gonna be writing this whole thing, because like I said, I'm not warmed up right now, and I haven't done a whole lot of writing since, here's just a random scrap piece of paper, we'll use this. Some pencil stuff on here. This was earlier today. I did a really quick, it's the same Star Wars crawl, but I did a really quick just writing in pencil just to see if it was gonna even moderately fit on a piece of paper. And that's when I learned that writing at my regular size was definitely not gonna fit. That M word. Well, I use that M word quite a lot. Alright, vote in the chat. Should I do this? I'm doing it, the paper's ivory. It's a cream colored paper. Should I do black ink or walnut ink? What are we feeling? I guess the black ink is more permanent. What do you guys think? Black, walnut? You let me know. Raise my chair a wee bit. Oof, I haven't written in a while. Oh, just when he says black. All right, that's one vote for black. James likes walnut. I mean, everybody knows I'm privy to walnut pretty much all the time. The only crummy part about walnut in this instance, I'm going to warm up with walnut regardless, but the only crummy part with walnut is it's not permanent, whereas the black is more permanent. Not that this piece needs to be permanent. Well, what do we got? Black. We got 3 for black and 2 for walnut. Alright, we'll see if anybody else feels like voting. I hope this nib's in good shape. I don't feel like digging through and finding a new nib today. Ooh, and I'm recording a new video on, there's been some people asking and talking about nib tuning in my Discord. And I've sort of changed the way I do it a little bit since the Instagram live video that I made. So that's going to be coming up here in a little bit. A nib tuning video. How I do it. Oh, now we're completely tied. We got 3 for walnut and 3 for black. Well then. You guys are making my decision so much easier. Oof. Mike's hand is rusty. Write it twice. Once in black, once in walnut. Whoa. You know what I should have done? I should have done the title in ink before I penciled the whole thing in. Because there's the most chances of messing up are in those nice big title letters. And if I mess those up, I'm going to be annoyed at everything that comes after it. That would have been smart. Oh well. Somebody will log in on their second account. I learned that about people's Instagram. Apparently people have like lurking accounts on Instagram. People have other accounts that they'll go on to like look at stuff. Apparently. That's a thing. I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently it's a thing. New to me. Oh, and we start this whole thing off with a capital E. Ugh. Right? Yeah, episode. Tiny capital E. It's very small, so I'm going to probably be using a little bit of combination movement today. A little bit more fingers than I normally would. Oh, autofocus is definitely on. Now that I'm writing, let me zoom in a little bit more for you guys, and then I will check off autofocus. Fake accounts are a big thing. That's weird. Why have a fake account? I don't get it. If you want to stalk somebody, just stalk somebody. I don't know if this ink is bad or if this... No, if this paper is bad or this nib is bad, but these lines are not very amazing. I've decided I don't like that H connecting to the O. A New Hope. Expose them. I mean, I don't know who they are. I don't know specifically people, or I don't remember who commented on it. I remember, was it at IAMP? People talking about it? I don't remember, but I remember being confused when it was like a thing. Hey, Glenna, am I going to IAMP? Yep. I mean, unless there's something crazy happens with COVID or with immigration or something like that, but yep, I will be there. Looking forward to it. Oh, movement writing, tiny capitals. Cool thing about writing small capitals, they're tough to control sometimes, but you don't really have to do giant shades. Giant shades usually kind of look off when they're on super tiny capitals. So you can get away with small, like that's a nice shade on the A like that. That's like a good That's a good, if my A New Hope A looks like that, I'll be very happy. I don't think it will, but if it does, I'll be happy. Ooh, that oval's a little crazy shaped. Warm up, warm up, warm up. Shake off a week's worth of writing dust. Dust? No, rust. How do I want to do the P's in this piece? Am I going to do them like that? Or like that? What do you guys think? Whoops, sorry, that was behind my face. P number 1, P number 2. What do you guys like best? P number 2 is more stressful because I can get, like I have there, pot belly on that shade if I'm not careful. Like if I could always do them like that, it'd be great. There we go, that's what we need. Or if I want to go with my standard, Marilyn says 2. What do I want to do with a standard horizontal entry? Third P, I only did 2 kinds of P's. I mean, I guess I did the I'm not doing the continuing one. Because if I do the continuing one, the shade is going to be too small to match with the other shades in this piece. I just know that about my own writing. If I try to do like this one here, the shade's gonna, like, it's gonna be a little too risky to get it looking like the other ones. It's a very nice P. It also takes up quite a bit of space horizontally. I like that P. It's probably my favorite of the variations. I guess there's also, I won't do this one because there's no other of these shades. Oh, there is on the V of 4, episode 4. Could also do that one. That's a nice P. Oh, it's so weird doing them small like that. Brighten you guys up a little bit. It's dark out there. This paper, it looks kind of blurry on the screen, but it's just the ink is bleeding in this paper. To make sure it's not, doesn't bleed through to my desk before I write the piece. What other capitals are in this piece? Oh, there's a D. There's 2 D's. Oh. Come on. Maybe if they're small, they'll be easier. Okay, not shading that downstroke. Those aren't bad. Could be worse. I think it's almost time. Oh, there's a mini S as well, right? Alright, I'm gonna do a few practice lines. Put that over there for now. on the sheet of the paper I'm going to be writing on, so I get used to the way it feels in case it's different. And I'll use this grid since it's what I'm using for the piece. I might as well. Oh yeah, it's definitely more difficult to write smaller. You can hide a lot of stuff when you write a little bit smaller. You can hide inaccuracies. I don't think it's... A lot of people like the look of small writing more, so they'll start writing small when they're just practicing Spencerian or ornamental penmanship, and I think it's important to practice a little bit larger until you get used to it, and until you're not making some of the standard or classic beginner mistakes, for lack of a better word. And then once those get ironed out, then you can start to shrink things a little bit, because it does look really good small, or the lowercase letters look really good small. I usually like my capitals to be a little bit bigger, but these ones are very tiny. Controlling small capitals is a challenge. Like my normal capitals, I would normally do... That's about the size that I'm comfortable writing at most of the time. So the smaller ones will add just a little bit of stress to my world, but that's okay. They also don't need to be shaded as big. So we can get away with having them be relatively decent. Whoops. The E shouldn't be a big problem. What E do I want to start with? Maybe without the little loop, since it's so small already. Episode 4 will look something like that. I wish I didn't have this crazy shadow. Sorry. Not the best lighting setup today. Okay, and then A New Hope is larger. We go 3 lines for that one. Whoops. That's a nice A. I wish my H's never look cool enough. They don't look great. They look good on their own. But when they're mixed, when they're beside other heavily shaded letters, they don't stand out quite well enough, I don't think. And I tend to get the shape of that stroke wrong. Here we go. Whoops. Whoops. All this practice. Can you tell I'm stressed out to write this on the regular piece of paper? Not actually nervous about my ascenders today. They are coming out quite nice and uniform. I actually made a change. I'll mention this. I made a change to my paper to desk orientation a couple weeks ago. Oh, Marilyn's off to bed. Back to surgery tomorrow. Wow. That's intense. Good luck with all that. Have a splendid evening and a great day tomorrow. And again, good luck. And we'll see you later. Well, if I do that variation of the H, James, it will definitely stand out. But it just doesn't... I'm not as good of that variation of the H. I guess I could do that one. It's just so hit and miss for me. Yeah, that is an intense day. Oh yeah, I made a change to my desk to paper orientation. You've heard me say in the past, like if I'm writing lately, my natural writing is about 48 degrees is where I'm comfortable most of the time. I've been reining myself in to 52 degrees. I've been trying to straighten my writing a little bit. And what is normal for me is to have my slant line go directly 90 degrees, like straight away from my body. And that's what's all my downstrokes and everything are like that. And the reason for that is for ease of strokes, like this stroke here. Whoops, sorry. That compound curve into a continuing stem shade are easier when the paper's straight or even turned more, as far as with nib angle. But I have changed my paper to be slightly angled to the left. And that makes it a little bit more challenging to do these strokes or to do these shades, or like the shade on the end of the B and things like that. But it makes my ascenders easier. If I turn even more, my ascenders get even easier. But I'm trying to find that perfect happy point where I can still do the continuous stem shade in like the capital S, for example. Like these shades, I can still get a nice one, but it also allows me to get slightly cleaner and more consistent ascenders. Like I said, if I turn even more, I can get super clean ascenders without even trying at all, utilizing hinge movement. But it's I mainly say it not to tell you to do that, but to, similar to with holders and grips and stuff like that, I always recommend testing out, trying out things, and you have to do them for a little while to see if they're good changes or not. And because when I'm teaching, I want to be able to give people reasons why I like certain things and dislike other things. And my opinions don't come from nowhere. They're because I try these tests and I try them out for size for like a month and see how I feel about them. And then I'll try something else. So I've tested a lot of different angles and different things in the past to see what works best. And I thought I had figured out what was best for me. But I randomly decided to try another little change. And it's so far working good. And I like it. And I think it might be a change for the better. We'll see. I'm still getting used to it. But I feel like it's a good choice. Alright, I think it's time. Am I perfectly warmed up and feeling awesome and ready? No, but that's probably not going to happen. There's no such thing as perfectly ready. You just gotta do it. So we're just gonna do it. We're gonna take a sip of tea and then we're gonna do it. This actually shouldn't take very long once I start writing it. One page? I mean, it'll take a bit, but... Alright. Alright. No time like the present. Ah! Oh. Wet ink. That paper just fell off of... It was balancing on my couch in front of me. And it fell off. Upside down. So there's wet ink. Probably on something over there, but I'll figure that out later. Don't be nervous. At the end of the day, I can always re-pencil this. This is just a test piece. Oh, I dislike using a glide sheet, but I'm going to use one today. I dislike them. They are what we should be using all the time. I should always be using them, but I dislike them. Okay, let's do this thing. Whoa, weird. I don't think I've ever done movement writing with a pencil guide like this. It's strange. It's very, very strange. I have to fight to not control and focus on the line. I don't remember if I decided black or brown. I'm gonna go ivory. We're gonna go non-permanent today. Ivory? That's not an ink color. That's a paper color. We're gonna go walnut is what I meant to say. I can't write, or I can't speak, but let's hope I can write. Man. Alright, E. You're getting us started. No pressure. You start off this whole thing. Don't suck. It's very, very strange having the pencil there. I kinda don't like it. Because I can't see my hairlines as good. The pencil's making it look funny. Oops. Episode 4. V doesn't touch the baseline, but that's okay. Yeah, this... I didn't think that would bug me so much. It's very strange. It's like, it's in my way. Get out of my way, pencil. Bizarre. Very, very bizarre. Not a very, I'll probably, oh, you guys didn't get to see that one. I'll probably add more ink to that. Or maybe I'll do that right now. I know my head's in the camera, sorry. I'm not James, so that shade is a little hit or miss for me. That'll work. Balance it out with the other ones a little bit better. I really don't like there being pencil there. That is extremely distracting. But so far so good. It'll work. My A's a little jacked up, but that's okay. We're not gonna be too hard on ourselves today. Cause that doesn't do us any good. No, James, every time you do this, every time I see you do this shade, it's like magic. It's annoying. I feel about you in this shade just like I do about Chin and her ascender strokes. There. If I say that, you'll know exactly how I feel. You'll understand that comparison. It is a period of civil war. Okay, I gotta decide right now, how high are my ascenders going? We'll say just above that line. Because I know I penciled them all different. Like, I don't know if it's this nib. These hairlines are garbage. It could be the ink. These hairlines are not very nice. Or it could just make, the pencil might be blurring them to my eyes. I don't know. They don't look good. The lines look very thick to me. Tiny capital stem. Rebel spaceships. Striking. This song is crazy repetitive. Sorry, I write lowercase letters closer to my body than I write capital letters. It changes my my viewing and writing angle a little bit. What is this? This nib is like running out of ink in 2 seconds. My ink is messed up. Oh, this nib is messed up. What's making this happen? I'm also gonna swirl my walnut for a sec here. This sounds like the start of an ad. If we were listening to Spotify, this is how an ad would start. Do you find that you haven't traveled enough this year? Well, book your ticket for blah 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 airline. If you don't know when you're traveling, that's fine. Book your ticket today and we'll put you on a plane as soon as the pandemic allows it. Welcome to Pandemic Air. That's what this song reminds me of. From a hidden base. From a hidden base, have one. Won their first victory against. That's possible. I'm not used to doing movement writing over pencil or graphite, so that's definitely a potential factor. I didn't think that would play a part, but maybe it is. Won their first victory against the evil Galactic Empire. Alright, capital G. Oh, we didn't practice the G. Whoops. Darn it. The pencil super messes with my head. The flow of my writing, I feel tense. I don't feel flowy and chill. I feel like I'm trying to control it without controlling it. It's a very strange feeling that I don't like. Doesn't feel nearly as free as when I'm normally writing. Pull yourself together, Mike. Come on. There's supposed to be a comma here. Oh, have a good night, Glenna. Thanks for hanging out for a bit. Like, I can't see the line. My pencil is... Oh, that's annoying. Everything moved. Crap. Rebel spies managed to steal secret plans to the Empire's ultimate weapon. The biggest thing that bugs me is when, or not the biggest thing, but something else that bugs me a little bit, because the pencil is there, but the pencil isn't like strictly perfectly. I didn't pencil like super precise, so it's not super clean on the baseline, but I can't see the baseline all that well because of the pencil. Well, alright, Mom, good night. Sweet dreams. Stay forthful. Oh. Oh, these weren't supposed to cross. Oh well. Not the cleanest little area right there, but that's alright. Can fix that with a bigger sheet of paper. with enough power to destroy an entire planet. What up, Villas? Welcome. We are writing the Star Wars A New Hope story that crawls on the screen at the beginning of the movie. We penciled it in, and now we're penciled in roughly to get an idea of spacing, and now inking. But I'm just complaining. It has been a minute. I've been just sitting here complaining about how much I don't like writing over top of pencil lines. It's very frustrating. They get in the way. I definitely didn't expect it to be that big of an issue. But I definitely dislike it. It has been a minute. Where you been? All right. So far, so not too bad. Not perfect, but that's okay. I'm not a huge fan of my hairline quality, but I'm not sure what's causing it. Okay, which style of the P am I going to use? I'm going to go with the standard. Sorry, it's not what you guys in the chat voted for. I apologize. I'm going to go with my standard P. Oh, nice. I mean, work is a valid reason. If you can't be here, you can't be here. That's okay. But we're happy to have you here today. Pursued by the Empire's sinister agents. Sinister agents. It's a quiet night in the chat today. Oops. Messed up that stem. Can we fix that a little bit? I don't like touching up, but I kind of needed to there a little bit. Princess Leia. Oh, that one too. Snagged on me. No good. Races home aboard her. I feel like my baseline is all over the place today. No, the ink won't smudge. I'll just erase it. Once the ink is fully dry, it won't. The ink won't be affected by the eraser at all. Hopefully, no, it shouldn't. I cannot believe how much I dislike writing with the pencil there, though. It is bugging me. I feel like it's definitely affecting my writing. Not physically, it's up here. I think just mentally, it's getting in the way. So I can't just write with a mental picture in my head. There's a weird mental picture in my head fighting with the very casual, not at all precise, perfect pencil lines. And then also the pencil lines affect my vision. They affect when I can see, like, if I do an up stroke for like a T, for example, up, and then put my shade to come down, I can't see exactly where that ink line ends. I mean, it would be awesome if it always ended in the exact same spot, but it definitely doesn't work like that most of the time. No, I'll just use a regular white eraser. It'll be fine. I mean, you'll see, hopefully, there's not a ton of ink on this paper, so it won't take long to dry, and I'll be able to erase it on stream here. You'll see. That can save her people and restore. Sorry. That was a very big O. Gosh, my baseline is all over the place. Ugh. Freedom to the galaxy, and then we're done. What kind of off-angle F? Not a very consistent slant line on this one today. Done. There we go. Just like that. Just like that. The whole thing doesn't look too bad. It's the formatting I like. The writing wasn't super amazing. I'm gonna definitely have to take a swing at this when I'm having a better writing day. But let me zoom out real quick. That's too far. There we go. We can see the whole thing there. That is tiny. Now, while I wait for the ink to dry, I'm going to cut the edges off so we have a nice long piece. What kind of a... How much of a margin do I want to give here? How much of a margin do I have to the bottom? Ooh, that's a silly way to measure, Mike. We have about 7/8 to the bottom. So, why don't we give ourselves, this is the worst way to measure ever, but it's how I'm going to do it. Give ourselves 7/8 on either side. We'll go less than that. That'll work. That will look good. We'll go 7/8 from the edge of the paper. Should be a good look. We might cut more than that eventually, but for now, this should be good. Now, as long as my measurements aren't super dumb, that should be about the same. 3. Yep. Alright, now let's cut it with a metal ruler. No. This one? No. What ruler? Cut it with a fabric ruler. We use the rotary cutter. Break out the big guns. We don't have to be super precise, but you know, I'm me, so it will be precise-ish. Side number 1. Make it glow? I can't make it glow, it's not midnight. That would be against the rules. No, I'm gonna stand up for this because the paper was starting to shift around a little bit. I'm gonna stand up and add a little more pressure. There we go. And there's a piece that will fit in no frame because it is not a proper size for any frame. I'll also have to keep that in mind when I create the final version. To make one that fits in a proper portrait landscape. Now, how's this ink doing? Are they all dry? Looks like we're dry. Booyah. Eraser time. Close the ink bottle. Jar. What will be really cool, unfortunately the blacklight ink that I use does affect if I write over top of it, because I had an idea a long time ago to do a bunch of like scribbles on a piece of paper in blacklight ink, and then once that was dry, go over with like a regular piece, so there was like a hidden message underneath. But unfortunately the two inks affect each other, so I could do stuff here around like the border. I could do a Star Wars border or draw Star Wars pictures around it, or who knows, frame an empty sheet. Friends of mine have gotten not mad, but Chin is one of them. Open Inkstand got mad at me because I used to send people letters that were just blank pieces of paper, and she legit thought that I just sent her, because I owed her a letter for a long time, and she thought I sent her just an empty letter with just blank pieces of paper. And then eventually she found out that it was blacklight, but she didn't have a blacklight, so she had to track down a blacklight, and she was just frustrated at me for all the work that the silly little letter that I wrote her required, which is kind of funny. Yeah, we'll do these vertical lines first. Notice, when I'm erasing big stuff, especially on really thin paper like this, thicker paper, arches and stuff like that isn't big of a deal. You can erase like normal, but when I erase stuff like this, I tend to try to, as much as I can, erase in one direction. That's not like a pro tip or anything, but I can't count how many times. Like, you know, you stretch the paper and you're careful, but then all of a sudden you not rip the paper, but you fold the paper, you crinkle the paper. That happens quite a lot. So I fold or I erase in one direction as much as I can for stuff like this. And I don't always, I forget, and then I crinkle paper and remember that I should always erase in one direction, because it's just smarter. It's slower, but it is definitely smarter. Oh, the hairlines might look a little better. They definitely look better without the pencil behind them. Which means I can't blame, if I don't like this piece, I can't blame it on the pencil anymore. Or I can't blame it on the nib. There are a lot of spots though where my movement was kind of stunted because my brain got in the way. Alright, I'm erasing this much slower than I could because I don't want to crinkle and wreck the paper. You know, this piece doesn't have to actually even be that much bigger than this. The finished piece, yeah, it won't be much bigger than this. The lowercase letters will be about this size. It's just really, it needs a little more vertical space between the lines and for the capital letters to be a little bit bigger. But as far as, like, the width is going to be pretty much like this. I think the piece will just extend vertically a little bit, so that I can get some bigger capitals in there. A little more contrast. But as a first test, I'm pretty stoked on that. I think that looks pretty cool. Yay! Now we gotta do episode 5, episode 6, episode 1, episode 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Solo and the other movies don't have a scrolling thing in the beginning, do they? Oh, heck yeah, Villas. We got the Cone Trooper. There's also, you didn't see it because you weren't here in the beginning, but back there, there's the R2D cone. I have a series of... I have some sketched. What else is sketched? Oh, you know what I never did? And I definitely should now that Mandalorian exists. I never did a Bounty Hunter cone. I need to do a Boba Fett cone. We'll call him Cona Fett. Cona Fett? Boba Cone? Boba Cone! That's what it's gonna be. I need to draw a Boba Cone. I sketched a Wookiee cone once. I didn't do a big piece of it. I have a small drawing of a Wookiee cone, which is just a fuzzy traffic cone with a bandolier, with a thing going around him. Jabba the Cone. Jabba the Cone would be tough though, because it can't stray too much from the shape of a cone. How would I do Jabba the Cone? Without... I mean, I could put... No, because they also don't have faces. Like, that's why the Cone Trooper worked so well. Because it's like where the glasses go, but the cone doesn't actually have a face. It just has glasses. And it's like R2D cone. There's nothing. He has his little... It's not an eye, but he has a little circle in the middle. But there's no, like, face, so they work. The Wookiee was just fuzzy. But I don't know... The thing with... it could go upside down. It could be lying down, I suppose. And, like, twisted so it could be, like, if you took a cone and you like squished it or melted it a little bit so it fell into the Java the cone shape. I'll have to experiment with that. That's an interesting idea. Oh, I used to draw cones. I haven't drawn cones as much lately. I was thinking this morning, yesterday. No, this morning. While I was making breakfast this morning, I was reminded of an art project that I really want to do, and I haven't thought about it for, it's been a good few years now since I thought about it. But years ago when I painted the Mandalorian, not Mandalorian, the Mondrian cone, the Pylandrion art piece I did, the canvas, I was trying to do a series of like classical art pieces transitioned to traffic cones. And there is, what's it called? The Art of Man? Is that what the piece is called? The guy in the bowler hat with the apple in front of his face? There'll be no bowler hat in it, but I really want to paint that same scenery, the sky and the land in the background, with a traffic cone with an apple in front of its face. And I could do it digitally, but I want to actually, I've never done oil painting before, but I want to do it legit. Like I want to either take a course or find a friend who can oil paint and who can like walk me through it. But I want to do is it Art of Man? Isle of Man? Can't remember. But anyways, that piece with the apple for the Son of Man. Okay, yeah, that one. I want to do that piece with a pylon. Make an origami. I've wanted to. There are no existing, or that I found anyways, like good plans for an origami traffic cone. I have a paper traffic cone. Where is it? Way back here. Not origami because it's a glued together piece and it doesn't have glasses. There's a guy that I met, I can't remember his name or his business. I did an art show years ago with the shoes that I painted, and he was in the booth beside me and we just got chatting. Was he booth beside me? I don't know. Anyways, we got chatting at this art show, and he made these like paper toys where you can create all these like characters. And when we got talking about traffic cones and stuff, a while later he emailed me the plans for a paper traffic cone, and there's even the paper sunglasses and stuff that go on it. But I wanted to rework the plans to have a base, because I don't like the base being super flat. It's why when... Oh no! Rubik's Cube down, and Little Black Dragon down. My sister made me this little guy, but instead of the base just being one piece of fabric, I had her send me this, and then she sent me an extra square, and then I cut a piece of foam and put it in there and then stitched it all together so that the base has structure. This is really dope. I'm stoked about this. It's fun. But I have plans to figure out how to do a traffic cone origami. I just have to figure out how, because I can't find the existing models. So I either have to learn to do it myself, which is quite challenging, or I don't know, I'll figure something out one day. But I want it to be actual origami and not just like, because there's lots of, I could do glued paper like that pretty easily, but I want to actually like origami one. But I don't know enough about origami to design it myself. Maybe one day. John Carlo, you are a little late. That's true. We're finished the piece that we were doing tonight. That turned out great. I gotta figure out how long. I guess it's gonna be just a little bit more. If I go this way horizontally, so you can see, just like an extra few inches. I'll have to map it out. It'd be like a scroll. Oh, that would be dope, don't you think? With like the scroll on top, and then it hangs down, and then the scroll on the bottom. So it's like an open scroll when it hangs. But it's the Star Wars New Hope. And then maybe there's a super, super crazy long scroll that is all of the Star Wars ones on one super, super long piece of paper. Is that even possible? Maybe one day. We'll plan it. We'll figure it out. Villas, it is an origami cone would technically, yeah, just be a rolled up cone, but with origami, you need it to hold its position, hold its shape, without just coming undone. And also, I want it to have the base with structure, like a thick base with like an edge, and ideally the base could be like even slightly rounded on the corners. And then, in a perfect world, the best origami traffic cone would be folded like this little guy, like the fox, where like this is folded from a piece of paper that's white on one side and orange on the other. And the genius Huang Tianqiet, who designed it, planned the folds so that the white paper ends up exactly where it needs to be. Like absolute, that's genius. I would never be able to do that. But if somebody could fold a traffic cone and have it be so that the paper was inverted where the lines go, that would be epic. That would be the dopest. And then if they could do that and the base, then that's a true origami cone. I definitely can't do that, but maybe I can find an origami specialist, because I feel like in the world of origami, it would be a lot easier than like the crazy things that those guys invent. Origami designers are like geniuses. They've unlocked like a code there that I don't understand. I've decided I'm gonna make another one of these, maybe this week. Another the 5 connecting tetrahedras, this little guy. I'm going to make another one of these, but I'm gonna make it even smaller. Making this one this small was a challenge, but the pieces are easy, it's just putting it together. I'm gonna try to make one that I think is about half this size, which means that the pieces will be how long? These ones are approximately 3 inches, so maybe I'll make them be 2 inches. 1.5 seems a little small. Maybe I'm gonna make them 2 inches or 1.5 inches. And I'll make another one. It'll be a tiny little ball. One day. Put that up there. Stay. Oh, thank you. Yeah, the fox is cool. The fox is definitely, I'm most proud of the fox. It's the coolest thing I've ever made in origami. And it's my first time wet folding watercolor paper, which is a whole different experience than folding like the treated tissue paper and like thin origami papers. The watercolor paper, when you wet fold it, it's just a whole different thing. It's super neat. And then, yeah, I need to make a dodecahedron. There are, I don't think there are plans to do a dodecahedron out of one sheet of paper, but I know one of my favorite origami YouTubers has one that is made out of a bunch of triangles. And then there's a bunch of pieces that are made out of triangles. It's like modular origami. Or kirigami, that might be called. I can't remember. But it's put together that way, and then it makes like a D20. Well, there we go. I think, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna end this one here on a high note. That was fun. I'm happy with this. It was a good little proof of concept. I actually think my lowercase letters are too large on this one. And that's primarily, I gotta figure out a way to do it without penciling it, but still get the now that I have this, I guess I know what the width is, so I can probably do these without penciling them, because the pencil really messes up my writing. Or I can get over that. Platonic solids. They sound cool. Anyways, we're gonna end this one here. Thank you very much for hanging out with me, everybody. I hope that you are falling in love with the process. Today, like recently, is another video of me showing you guys my process of how I'm going by creating this cool Star Wars piece. I didn't know if it would look cool, if Star Wars and ornamental penmanship would jive, but I really like the way this looks, so it gives me faith for the project. So that's something I'm working on. So yeah, I hope you guys are falling in love with the process, and don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that life should be just a bit of silliness, really. Bye, everybody.